the final corner. Max Verstappen emerges in front. Such a close battle once again. It's Max Verstappen that wins out. He takes victory in the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix.
Nice. That was good.
Wow, that was close. Wow, unbelievable. Well done, Max. Great job.
Well done to Max. That was nice.
Hello and welcome to F1 Nation, coming to you live from the paddock of the Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. And what a paddock it is, TC. It's absolutely stunning here. Grass on the walls around us, which is slightly confusing, but a great vibe down here at Red Bull because finally they finished in the points, and a great haul of points too. A win for Max Verstappen and a P4 for Sergio Perez, who you'd have to say was incredibly unlucky tonight.
Oh, Pinks, I mean, let's just talk about the racing at the end of that Grand Prix. I mean, playing cat and mouse on the DRS line, Leclerc and Verstappen absolutely on the limit. Max actually said after the race that it was just quali laps at the end. Quali laps. And when did we last see that? At an end of a stint that we saw quali laps.
It was so good. And actually the drivers were unanimous in their approval of these new regulations because they are working.
Yeah, 2 races in, we've seen great racing at both events. And let's not forget, this is a street track with walls. So there's no runoff. You need a clear advantage. My goodness. It's all happening. It's
We're doing a team photo in a minute.
Are you doing it? That's Christian Horner.
Paul Christian, quick, 1 minute.
Yeah,
go.
quick. Christian, how pleasing to get some points on the board, hey?
Well, it's great to be on the board. I think after the difficulties of last weekend, the bounce back from the team was outstanding. You know, the support we had from the factory throughout the week, the mechanics, the engineers, the way that they've worked on, these cars in difficult conditions. Have been absolutely, first class, and that race today, Max paid them back the best way possible with a great victory. I mean, it was such a competitive race between ourselves and Ferrari today. It was just really fine margins.
Were you sweating a bit at the end after the reliability problems last week?
I was just relieved to see the checkered flag. I'd like to have seen it about 3 laps earlier.
You've got to feel sorry for Checo, though. I mean, so unlucky. There was no more he could have done, was there?
Desperately unlucky for Checo. I mean, he made the start. He was controlling the race. He would have won that race, I think, without that safety car intervention. So, but, sometimes they work for you, sometimes they go against you. But, desperately unlucky on what had been a really competitive weekend for him.
How is Checo after the race, by the way? Is he massively disappointed, or is he quite level about it?
He's disappointed, but he's level about it. He understands there's nothing we could have done. And I think when he reflects on the whole weekend, that blistering pole position, his first ever, he'll take a lot of confidence out of this weekend. He was quick in the race as well. That first stint, he had everybody covered. So frustrating for him, but he'll still take a lot out of it.
Now you need to run and do your team photo. Don't ask him any more questions,
no,
TC. That's just cheeky.
It's
you
true.
said 1
Don't
minute.
want to be cheeky. They're all going past Christian.
Ask Lee about the lovogram.
Okay.
Yes.
Well,
That's
is
a stitch up.
Lee McKenzie.
What a stitch up.
In case you're wondering.
My gorgeous friend Lee McKenzie joins us now. We'll ignore what Christian just said.
I feel I should maybe enlighten you because it's probably not as bad as he's made it out to be. Christian calls my Instagram the lovogram. He has actually asked to appear on the lovogram, so it can't be that bad. But he basically thinks that I'm just like running around having the time of my life, not really doing what people would class as a proper job, just because I get to go to lots of lovely sports and things.
Why?
Some truth to it.
Haven't you just given yourself a job description in that very...
That's what my CV says.
So Lee, have you enjoyed this weekend? I mean, it's been a slightly strange one. We need to be honest about that. It started off quite an odd atmosphere, you'd have to say, in the paddock, and yet a great race at the end to celebrate and make the most of, and hopefully we all leave here with good memories.
What was so nice to see today was we were talking about great motor racing. That's what we should always be doing in sport, talking about the sport that we're all here to enjoy and to love. And it's a difficult, dangerous racetrack, it always feels to me. You're kind of, if you're at home watching it, you're probably hiding behind your sofa. If you're in a commentary box, you're probably doing the same. When I say dangerous, I don't mean unnecessarily dangerous. And if my colleague David Coulthard was here, he would basically tell us, toughen up. This is what racing drivers do. You need a bit of danger. You need a bit of this. And we see it through different eyes.
Are you two telepathic?
Mr. Coulthard, happy birthday.
Good evening, how are you?
49 apparently.
I'm counting back from now on. Definitely, I'm not 51.
What are your thoughts on this racetrack, DC?
Well, it looks really eye-openingly fast. It looks very challenging, not much room for error. It's part of the challenge of Formula One. And what I did love is to see all the drivers pretty knackered at the end of it, pretty exhausted, because for so long in the hybrid era, they weren't even sweating at the end of the Grand Prix. That was not to take away from their skills, but it was a management formula for a long part of that era. And we're now back to hard racing, fast racing, and pushing the car to the limit. And I say fantastic.
Let's focus on the race. Lee, who was your driver of the day?
It's a difficult one, isn't it? I suppose you would focus on, bravely I'll choose either Max Verstappen or Charles Leclerc, because what I actually loved to see was not just winning a race, but the tactics and strategy. And having spoken to both team bosses at Ferrari and here at Red Bull, they didn't really know that was going to happen. These drivers just found their own way. Who doesn't want to lead into a specific corner on a racetrack to then sort of catapult themselves forward for the next? It's just really intriguing to see it. So, I mean, you'd have to say Max, because he ultimately won it. And what I like to see is he was so patient. Maybe in previous races, previous years, he would have been, elbows out, charging through. But he actually played the long game, and the long game is what got him to the front at the right time.
DC, your driver of the day?
I would say Max Leclerc. I think that he definitely delivered either that, or you've got to go with Charles Verstappen. They were just exceptional, the two of them, and picking up what Lee has said, their ability to think so clearly about how to go racing, even if it's compromising the total lap time, is all about track position, and that's another thing that's been entered to racing because of this racetrack that we won't necessarily see in Melbourne.
What about Sergio Perez?
I feel for Sergio. Brilliant job on Sunday, probably the lap of his career. The racing gods decided that it wasn't meant to be.
Yeah, but just the weekend. Do you think that's his best weekend in Formula One? And I include his victories in that.
Well, it's difficult to say, isn't it? He definitely delivered on one lap in qualifying, and that got him into the pole position. But I don't want to. I think he's got a great opportunity this year to show us that it wasn't just a flash in the pan to deliver that lap in quali.
What's interesting is, for me, that Max had several years within this team to build up the confidence and knowing everybody at Red Bull. But in actual fact, Checo, this is only his second year. He's actually almost, for the first time ever, got a bit of a blank canvas to Where's this chatterbox that's just turned? It doesn't matter. Please speak. I would much prefer to listen to Lando than actually hear myself.
I'd like to listen to you, Lee.
I would too,
But
Lee.
we have been joined by Lando Norris now, who is celebrating his first points of the season. Woo!
I'm celebrating, yeah.
Yeah, I can see it.
Big time.
Wild.
I'll have a water.
How much of a surprise is this result? P7, I should add.
I mean, after last week, you would say it's a surprise. But this week, our pace has been much better, so maybe not the biggest. But I'm happy with it. I feel bad that I have to be happy with a P7.
So, overall,
Yeah.
happy with your race weekend, but frustrated with where the car's at, right?
I mean, the car's in exactly the same position as Bahrain. That's the problem. If we went back to Bahrain, we'd still be out in Q1 and we'd be fighting for 16th and 17th like we were. It's just this track suits our car a lot more, suits the medium and high speed, but it's just a difference. The car is literally exactly the same. So I guess we know a little bit more where our strengths are, but our weaknesses are the slow speed corners, and we're a very, very long way off still at the minute.
Oh, Albert Park's got a few of them. Although it's a bit
Well, it's
quicker this
changed.
year, isn't
It's
it?
changed.
Yeah,
It's a smoother surface, so I'm hoping the new one will be better for us than the old one.
Yeah. Well, look.
Got a flight to catch.
Well, and talk.
I'm on Max's flight, so
Oh, Max
Oh,
there.
Air Max.
he can celebrate all he wants.
Of course, you're on Air Max because you're heading back to Monaco. How's life down there? You enjoying it?
I've not actually been there that much at the minute. A lot of days just preparing for the season, and we've been away the last 3 weeks or so. So a few downtime days. One day at McLaren, and then off to Australia already on Saturday. So
Any
still not
golf
long,
in between? Can we get around in?
100%.
Yes!
Monday, Tuesday, Thursday, Friday, I'll be playing golf. So
Done.
You're joking, right?
no.
No.
You love it. I'm addicted. I guess people being addicted to other things in life, golf is my addiction at the
It's
minute.
not bad advice.
Oh, Lando. Well, look. Well done today.
I mean, yeah.
Well done. Great race. Hey, and these cars are good to race, right?
They're better. Yeah. I mean, it's better for some things, but it's worse in other reasons, because once you overtake, you can't just drop the guy behind as easily.
But we like that.
I know, it's good for you. It's bad for the guy who's just overtaken because the next lap is a lot easier for the guy to get back
You've
past
only
you.
done half the job.
Exactly. But yeah, it makes for a better show. That's the whole part of it. It adds to the adds to the racing. So I think it's just more fun. It makes it a lot more enjoyable for us. We're not going to we've got a whole race of just sitting behind each other, not doing anything. Like now we can actually look forward to some good battles, and you can have a chance to go forwards as well, which is always nice.
Even though I'm a guest on this, I'm now hijacking by asking.
I love it.
You're sitting here looking all fresh, very sparky, and I don't want to name names, but there were some very tired-looking drivers at the end of that race. Is it much more physical?
I know I'm small,
but is it very physical? Much more physical, these cars?
I don't know.
Just maybe some people need to put a bit more work in.
You know, especially there was one driver here in Red Bull Racing last year complaining of not having a drinks bottle for the race and saying how hard and physical it was. And
that was Checo in Austin, wasn't it?
Yeah, but I never even use a drink.
We name names on this podcast.
No, I don't even use a drinks bottle. So imagine how tough it is for me, right?
Now here comes Max. Tell us about Air Max.
And how do we get on this plane?
You have to pay money, like everyone. Well, DC is the birthday boy, so he might get a discount.
Max, I've got this.
I mean, we are Dutch, but we still understand.
Max is a lot more of a businessman than everyone thinks. You know, he knows how to
entrepreneur.
He knows how to work his customers quite hard. So.
I think there's going to be a good party tonight, Max.
No, we only have water on board anyway, so we are really well-behaved professionals. Sometimes, and
2 weeks to recover anyway. What does it matter?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. You need to enjoy life.
I'm celebrating a P7 more than Max is going to celebrate a P1.
You finished P7? That's actually a good result.
It's like a win for me, right?
Yeah.
So.
Yeah. Sorry.
Max, you deserve a good party. That was a great race.
A little bit, but long season ahead then. So
yeah, but it must be a relief to get that first win under your belt.
Well, especially after Bahrain. But we always knew we had a competitive car, so it's just a bit painful, of course, what happened in Bahrain, that you cannot have these points, but we are back on track and need to catch up.
Go on then, off you hop.
Off you hop.
Great to see you. Well done.
Don't
Thanks a lot.
Yeah, and thanks for your
Lando.
time, everybody.
And thank you to Lee as well.
Lee, it's been great to have you on the show.
Yeah, will you
Thank
come as a guest again, please?
I love this. I mean, do you know what I've loved? The madness. When I listen to this, it all sounds very controlled and professional. Seeing this, it's just been an absolute free-for-all. I'm coming back.
Great stuff.
Thank
Safe
you so
travels.
much. Yeah, safe home.
This episode of F1 Nation is sponsored by our good friends at NordVPN. I've got NordVPN to thank for keeping me entertained from the UK to Bahrain to Saudi Arabia and beyond as I travel race to race this season. Their bulletproof cybersecurity is an absolute must for anyone like me that might find themselves using public Wi-Fi in cafes, hotels, or shared workspaces. With NordVPN, I can access content from more than 59 different countries by changing my virtual location with just one click, giving me access to a whole host of streaming services and a catalogue of new shows with no buffering. NordVPN allows me to be anywhere in the world virtually with the peace of mind that I'm fully protected, which means I'll be able to access all my UK streaming services and much more when I head out to Australia next week, even ones that are usually blocked in the UK and vice versa for any of you out there. Which is just brilliant because sometimes you can't wait for another episode of your favourite TV show, can you? You get all of this for the price of a cup of coffee every month. Grab your exclusive NordVPN deal by going to nordvpn.com/F1Nation or use the code F1Nation to get a huge discount off your NordVPN plan, plus one additional month for free and a bonus gift. It's completely risk-free with Nord's 30-day money-back guarantee. A man who's not flying Air Max tonight is Adrian Newey. Or are you? Are you just going to be late?
No, we're not with Max. We're on our way back, but yes, a different plane.
Adrian, what a great result for the team today. I mean, it was a shame for Checo, completely out of his hands, but for Max to fight his way, some brilliant moves as well with Charles Leclerc. You must be delighted to see that result.
Well, I mean, I think first of all, as you say, for Checo, it's such a shame. Controlling the race, very comfortable. And then just unfortunate the safety car, because otherwise could have been the other way around. And yes, for Max, I mean, to kind of sit from fourth on the grid, very patient, drive, pick his way through. for the team, I think after the disappointment of the last weekend, it's kind of the little fillet that we needed.
Adrian, what about the racing? It's been tremendous the last 2 races. Have you seen anything like it? Do you believe that they are racing closer together and that we're going to have this kind of competitiveness all season?
Well, I think at the moment, the lucky thing for Formula One is that we've got 2 teams, Ferrari and ourselves, who at the first couple of races have had very, very similar performance. And that's what's given the good racing, obviously. In terms of kind of the closest of the racing, then I think generally the drivers do feel it's a bit easier to follow, although Max was saying, as you probably heard on the radio, that he was finding he could get to about 2 seconds, certainly on the first stint, and then he couldn't get any closer. So I think everything's gone in the right direction. The cars being so heavy makes them perhaps a little bit more difficult at times, but overall, as you say, it's been a brilliant couple of races.
And do you see the development plan for this car? Have you got it mapped out for the whole year in your head? You and the team, obviously, or is the prescriptive nature of these regulations mean that actually you're going to get to a point where it's much harder to improve?
Inevitably, there's a big set of regulation changes like this, and you have a very steep curve initially, and that gradually, over probably this season and following seasons, will start to ramp back, or start to plateau out. That's the nature of any big regulation change. Obviously, this year's unusual compared to previous years because of the cost cap and the fact that then we've not only got to try to develop, but develop it within a tight budget, and that presents its own difficulties and challenges, but again, that's the same for everybody.
Adrian, you're so generous with your time, but I know that Christian and Helmut are waiting for you.
Yeah, I better go.
So you better run.
Christian.
Okay.
Thank you so much, and
you,
well
guys.
done this weekend.
Thank you.
Brilliant.
Awesome work. Thank you very much, Adrian. This madness doesn't stop tonight, does it, Pinks? We've had one person
It just
after
gets
another.
better and better, actually, because now we're joined by Guenther Steiner. And Guenther, you must be, well, first and foremost, hugely relieved that Mick's okay, but also getting in the points again.
Yeah, obviously, I'm not saying I said it before, but I think we were pretty sure from last weekend in Bahrain that the car is good, and we proved it here again. Obviously, the result was not as good as in Bahrain, but the most important thing was Mick was safe yesterday after the accident, and today to make points again for the team is fantastic. Starting 10th with a different strategy, getting unlucky because we had a safety car out at the most inconvenient time for our strategy, but we got lucky a little bit afterwards with a few guys retiring. So
You snuck in there on lap 38 for the pit stop.
Yeah, that was
nice.
a good call,
Yeah, great
old
call.
talent.
Great
No
call.
luck, old talent.
All talent.
Yeah.
Guenther, what sort of state was Kevin in at the end of the race? Because he was complaining about his neck after qualifying. So 50 laps, how was he afterwards?
Yeah, he was quite sore, I mean, he wanted to play it, how we are, and a Viking, I called him the Viking with the weak neck, so, but anyway, no, he was sore, and it's one of these things, especially on this racetrack with the high-speed corners, and if you haven't driven one of these cars for a year, I think it is very demanding, so.
That's his new Viking name, Ivor Crickneck.
Yeah.
Very good, Pinks.
Thanks very much. But just talking of people's well-being, I couldn't believe that Mick was able to be discharged from hospital last night. I mean, that's such a relief. He didn't have concussion or anything.
It's quite amazing, obviously they are very well trained and the cars are very safe, These cars are very strong, and I think he was lucky also. Everything worked when you had the side impact, reducing the force in it. It all worked perfectly, so. But again, it's a good thing that it happened. So I'm very, very happy with that one. And the chassis is not this. There is damage to it, but it's not really big, the chassis. The rest of the car is broken, but not the chassis,
You will race that chassis again. Is that what you're suggesting?
Absolutely. I mean, that chassis, the side impact structures have to be changed. They did their job. They get destroyed by doing this. And otherwise, there is one little notch on it, which can be easily fixed.
That's amazing.
It's amazing.
Absolutely amazing.
Look, final one from us. We actually grabbed you as you're leaving the paddock. But how much longer do you think you guys can keep this run going? There's so much goodwill behind you in the paddock and, of course, in the grandstands as well. But realistically, what's possible?
Why should it stop? Now I'm asking you, Tom, the expert.
I agree.
Why do you think we cannot keep it going?
I'm asking. I'm only asking the questions. It's just that when you look at resources, you versus Ferrari and Red Bull and all those guys, can you compete with them?
I mean, we are not competing at the moment against Ferrari or Red Bull, but I think we can keep growing where we are now. Obviously, the other ones will get closer, but with the budget cap in place, it's not like the good old days where you just throw money at it and you keep on developing. We will develop and we will get better as well. So I don't know, but it's a very level playing field in the moment in the Formula One, and I think that was the intention of the financial regulations to have a budget cap to achieve this, because it's much more interesting if people, smaller teams, which now can compete in the midfield and fight for points every weekend. So I don't see, obviously there will be a day where we fall back again and somebody else comes up, like we fell back and then came back. So, but I think that's the whole idea of the budget cup, that it is more competitive between the teams.
Do you know what that is, Guenther? That is fighting talk fit for a Viking.
Correct.
Come on!
Yeah.
But also, that is incredibly reassuring, because we've seen really good on-track racing. So it seems like the new technical regulations are working. The financial regulations are working because it allows everybody to compete. Formula One is in a really good place at the minute, isn't it?
Thank you so much for your time.
It's fantastic. Well
Safe
done.
home.
So pleased
Thank
for you guys. See you at the next one.
Well, now I'm absolutely delighted as a football fan to say we are joined by a Dutch footballing icon, Edgar Davids. I say we're joined by him. He's just stopped to do some more selfies. Oi,
Busy
Davids, over here. So how are you and what brings you here?
Like everything brings us, like the Formula One, I guess.
You're spending a lot of time in the Middle East as well?
Yes, I live in Dubai. 6 years already.
Wow.
Left London and went to Dubai.
And tell me about who you are supporting out here, because we're sitting here at Red Bull.
Is that a clue?
I mean, well, you would think that Max would be, but I know you're good mates with Lewis as well.
Good mates is a big word.
Oh, well, come on. He's
But-
mates with lots of lovely people.
No, I met him so many years ago, and for me, he's a guy also off the racing court. He's impressive, and he's a big personality, and I think that's the difference between him and the others.
What about the Formula One? Are you a massive fan, Edgar?
I'm not a massive fan, because if I was a massive fan, I would know all the little tactics as well. But I appreciate it, and I watched it when Eddie was still racing. Eddie Irvine. God. Yep.
No, that was back in the day.
That's my time. Yeah.
How has Max been received in Holland? Obviously, it's a small nation and he's a big star. When we went to Holland last year for the race, we couldn't believe the vibe. I mean, it was just like party for 4 days straight. And there was a lovely energy about the place. But he was a superstar. And actually, we realised, why haven't we come racing here for 36 years? There's so many fans in Holland that love the sport.
No, but this is the thing. His dad, actually, you have to think about his dad. Hyped us up for Formula One, and before him was also a couple of other drivers, but it was really his dad that really, made us exciting to watch Formula One, and then now his son is taking over, and he really finished the job. And the thing is, it's the same as being a world champion with Holland with football. It's massive for such a small country, and exactly what Max did is massive, and we will not forget what he's done.
Thank you for your time. Yeah,
cheers.
You too.
Bye. Nat Damon and I know all too well how life becomes unpredictable and in many ways a lot more stressful when you have children. But on the other hand, it's 1,000 times more joyful as you watch your children explore the world and grow into the adults that they're going to become. You'd do anything to protect your kids, right? Well, one easy way to do exactly that is with life insurance. Fabric makes getting a term life insurance policy for your family quick, easy, and surprisingly affordable. It was built specifically for parents to help you manage your family's financial future like a parenting pro. You can do it all online. It takes less than 10 minutes to apply, and you could be offered coverage instantly with no health exam required. So you can sort it all from your sofa once the kids have gone to bed. Fabric's online hub is a quick and easy way to track your family's finances all in one place. You can even set up your kids' college saving plan, create a will, or start a rainy day savings fund. Yes, they've thought of it all. Planning for the future so you can enjoy the present has never been easier. And there's no risk to apply today. Fabric has a 30-day money-back guarantee, and you can cancel at any time. Protect your family with term life insurance now in just 10 minutes. Apply today at meetfabric.com/nation. That's meetfabric.com/nation to start protecting your family today. Meet, MEET, fabric.com/nation. Fabric Insurance Agency policies issued by Vantis Life, not available in New York and Montana. Prices subject to underwriting and health questions. Let's talk. I don't know, do we call this Latin America now? Because Juan Fossaroli's with us from Fox.
ESPN. Fox, ESPN.
Fox, ESPN.
Yeah,
okay.
Disney, more or less.
Okay, it's getting bigger and bigger. Disney,
bigger,
the
bigger.
world.
Yeah.
Juan, it's great to have you with us. First up, Checo Perez, that pole yesterday, mega.
Yeah, mega, and so happy for him because I've been following him since junior categories, and really he was wishing for that. You know, that was the piece missing for him. At one lap, he's very good on race with the tires and everything, but that one lap was missing. And doing it here in the fastest circuit of Formula One, dangerous, everything was fantastic. Really, I was almost crying for it.
Now, look, you are the face, the voice of Formula One in Central America, Latin America. How important is Checo to your broadcast?
Yeah, obviously, it's super important because also we have rebroadcast in the USA, Spanish speaking, in ESPN. And you know, it's big Mexicans everywhere, but in the States also. And in Mexico, Checo is a star, a legend. Now, how do you call him in Abu Dhabi? You're a legend. You're like Max said.
Max said on the radio,
really is really, really big. And I think he's leaving a legacy over there, and we all want him to do well, no?
And of course, the first Mexican to put it on pole. I mean, that's history being made right there.
Yeah, it took so long. He said that like a joke, no? Oh, it's only took me a couple of years, 11, to really get a pole position and 215 races for that. But now maybe he changed a little bit that approach, and maybe he's going to be able, because watching Checo on pole and Max in fourth position with the same car in a difficult racetrack give you a little bit of, self-confidence, if you can tell.
What I want to know is, will Red Bull let him race? I mean, will Red Bull let him fight for a championship even?
Well, Checo, I mean, I know him very well. He's always going to express that he wants to fight for the championship. You never know. I think maybe this season, with a lot of maybe candidates for the title, like Carlos, Leclerc, maybe we have Russell and Lewis. It's very mixed, and you cannot depend on only one driver, because something happened and you are putting all your money in one driver. They have to let Checo try to win also, because 23 races, it's a lot, and I think he have a chance.
Now look,
if the team, obviously, at the end of the year, is the fight between Checo and Max, I don't know. But who knows?
Now look, you hit on something that we haven't discussed yet on the pod. You mentioned Lewis Hamilton, George Russell. Let's talk about them. I mean, that was not a weekend I was expecting from Mercedes. I thought they would be the third fastest team, but to see Lewis Hamilton qualifying 16th, was that just the car, or do we think Lewis was a little bit out of sorts as well?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, everybody is expecting that Lewis, with experience, how fast he is. Last year, he was very fast here also. And like he was lost, with no grip, with no self-confidence. He was, I think, with a setup or whatever it is, very strange to see him like that. It was very funny when he said, Bono told him, you got a point for 10th position. And he said, it's a point for that position. He never been there.
Yeah, it's been a while.
Maybe it's good for him. I don't know. Maybe he resets a little bit. And George did a very good race. Also, he have a little bit bad luck today, because if he was able to get inside in the pit lane with a V12 safety car, maybe it was a good opportunity. They closed the pits, when that is.
Yeah, it's interesting, isn't it? Because Toto had said before the race that this was a setup experiment that went wrong. And then when Lewis finally did get some grip with those hard tyres, because initially it wasn't there, he started to work his way through the field. And as you say, then got a bit of bad luck. It would be interesting to see how far he could have gone had he been able to get in when he wanted to. But he still was able to fight on those new mediums, just enough to get into the points. I think, actually, all things considered, that was a kind of damage limitation. George Russell should be very proud of himself today.
Of course, and Mercedes, they're second in the championship. Incredible, no? We're talking about Mercedes and whatever. I mean, okay, Red Bull, they DNF and Bahrain give you that position in the championship. But there's some point, maybe Mercedes, I don't think it's going to be in Australia. But if you leave them a little bit more, they're going to find that solution. And we're going to have George and Lewis fighting like a tiger. I always, when I interview Lewis, he likes to call him the hunter. And today he was a hunter, He was hunting for positions, and I think he did well.
I think it was a very interesting race for Mercedes because he started on the grid, so he actually had to use the same setup that he struggled with yesterday in qualifying. He made it work, not sure how, but they will have learnt a lot from yesterday to today, and I think that'll help just develop the car as we go to Australia, and then particularly when we come back to Europe. I think Imola, we're going to see big changes on that car, and we could see Mercedes, can you imagine a 6-car fight for the lead? It could happen.
Yeah, it could happen. That's why maybe, I don't know, McLaren, we were, after the test in Barcelona, everybody's saying, oh, McLaren's third in the championship, or what they're going to be fighting. Maybe they also recover. But I think if we have 6 drivers fighting for every single race, it would be great. I like it because Max say now when you're close to another car, you get a good exit. And that we didn't see it that much before. We see maybe DRS one time, but not fighting with a DRS, thinking when to brake before not to give the DRS. Lewis did the same with Kevin. No, he overtook him in the second DRS, but then when they go to the straight, Kevin took it on. And then the other lap around, he said, I'm not going to overtake him here. I'm going to wait for the straight. I mean, it's fascinating, I think.
Yeah, and having the DRS line before the final corner is fascinating because we see that cat and mouse, don't we, between the drivers. Look,
Talking of cat and mouse, can we talk about Alpine for a moment? Because I absolutely loved it. And I thought that maybe Fernando might have come out and been a bit grumpy and had a few strong words for his teammate. He said to me in the pen, I loved it. I absolutely loved it. It was fair, hard racing. It's what people want to see. And actually, let's see more of it.
Yeah, I mean, Fernando, obviously he likes it because it's challenging. And one point, I don't know if it was too fair. If I'm Otmar Safnauer, it was like, again, because remember that pink cars fighting for position with Esteban and one and Checo and another. Didn't finish
Spa.
very.
Do you remember? Yes.
Spa, Azerbaijan. Yeah. I mean, it's a couple of races they went over the limit, and you don't want that in the team. But Fernando loves fighting, no? And he was ahead after that. I don't know, fighting for positions. He have to retire, but anyway, I think Fernando obviously because he retired. If Esteban will be in the front, I don't know if he will say that, but I agree with you. He likes to fight.
I did worry at one stage, though, it might take too much out of both of them, particularly their tyres, and then they'd be regretting it. But they just want to get out there and have a tussle, don't they?
Yeah, and for one moment in the race, it was the battle to watch. Everything in the front was very far, difference between the leaders, and then we have to catching up Bottas to the Alpines. It was very nice. I think that we deserve that show in the race.
And they've got a proper car this year, Alpine, haven't they? They were quick in Bahrain. This is a completely different racetrack here. It's much faster, and they were quick again. So different downforce levels, they are delivering. So I don't think Fernando Alonso is going to win the World Championship, but I think we could see him get back on that podium like he did in Qatar many times this year.
Yeah, and after Qatar was this race, and Esteban, at one point he led the race, remember?
So close.
And so close to the podium also.
Yeah.
And I mean, both drivers went very well here and in Qatar. I hope, the only thing I'm not worried, but the only 2 cars with 2 Renault engines. You don't have another car to have an input or information. And if you have a problem like Alonso, you only have 1 car with an engine to know what's going on. But I think we're going to enjoy. Maybe it will be great to have 8 drivers fighting for the championship.
We're going to end up with 20 quite soon, aren't we? Now, we've sort of mentioned Charles Leclerc, obviously, so far this evening, but Ferrari, my God, isn't it great to have them back, properly back? This isn't a, one race up, one race down. They are consistently quick now, aren't they?
I think we said, didn't we, last week, well, one swallow doesn't make a summer, but here we go. We've got 2 back-to-back races and they're on the podium again.
Yeah, and when we saw for first time the car, we say, wow, it's nice. Then we see the side pod of Red Bull, wow. And then Mercedes say, well, Ferrari got it wrong. And then at the end of the day, they were the fastest guy. And the engine is incredible because Alfa Romeo fighting there, Kevin with Haas, really, Ferrari have a very step forward with the engine. But I think overall, all the package of Ferrari is very good. They manage very well the tires. They use more downforce, and they're quick also. I think it's so great to see Ferrari back again. And what happened in the last few years, nobody wants to see Ferrari there, no? Yeah. And Charles is one of my favorite drivers because his personality, he fights for everything, but he's always, oh, how you did? Oh, I'm disappointed. But you won the race. Oh, yeah, but I make a mistake. You know, he's very harsh on himself, but he's learning every time. And see Max and Charles fighting equally is fantastic.
I thought he was really smart today. Really smart racing driver. Yeah. And I think if there hadn't been that yellow flag into turn one, on was it lap 48?
I think he agrees as well.
Yeah, I think he would have been in good shape to go back into the lead.
Can I also say how polite and charming he is in the pen as well? Whatever kind of race he has, he's never moody or sulky. He just answers very politely.
You know, I don't like to say personal stuff. Maybe it's not the moment, but you know, once my mother died a couple of years ago, and he sent me a message, you know, saying, I'm sorry for what happened to you. I mean, maybe because it was close to Azerbaijan where his father died, but to receive a Ferrari driver message, and I approached him and say, listen, I don't know if it was your community manager. No, I did it myself because I saw your tweet. You know, it's
human.
And it's human. I think he's a great driver, is fantastic, but you have to have also that nice human part.
And I love this battle between him and Max as well.
Oh, yeah.
It goes back to when they were karting 12, 15 years ago. And it's just great to see it, isn't it?
I don't know. With Lewis, he was more, I think so, no? Because more aggressive, no?
Max was more aggressive, you think?
Yeah, with Lewis, I think so. Here, he was battling with him, but very fair was the battle. That's why Charles said to Max, oh, congratulate him, was very fair. I don't know.
Maybe it's because they do know each other so well and they have grown up together. Maybe with Lewis, they were just feeling their way with each other. They didn't quite know how to respond to each other through the year. And then it got increasingly, it ramped up, didn't it, throughout the year?
Yeah, and you are fighting for your first championship. You know that the other guy is 7-time world champion. And you want to, you know, maybe, yeah. And then maybe it's that.
Guys. If those two, if Charles and Max are fighting for the world championship and we're 3 races from the end of this season, I think that could get quite spicy, couldn't it?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, they did that in karting. They fight in karting. And I think Charles, he said after Bahrain, I also am aggressive. You know, it's not only Max, and he proved it. And very smart driver. Both drivers are mega drivers.
Yeah. Well, it's been a wonderful Saudi Arabian Grand Prix. Just so exciting. There's one more story I definitely would love to hear from you, Pinks.
Well, I just want to give a shout out to Pierre Gasly because for the last 15 laps of that race, he had a stabbing pain in his intestine. And we're all saying what a physical race it was, but he was in absolute agony for the last part of that race. Poor chap, needs to go and wrap himself up and look after himself.
And he's a very fit driver. One of when you see it physically, he's a very fit, and how he trains, and you know that everything he does. But it was a hard race for everybody. I mean, even Charles Leclerc was very sweaty.
Yes, Valtteri was
It's not that hot like last year.
It's intense out there, isn't it? I think, and that's what George said to me as well, is that the concentration levels left him exhausted. 27 corners, the fastest street circuit, huge amount at stake. Valtteri, honestly, was puce. I thought he might pop in the pen. I was like, for a Finn, I mean, he was hot under the collar.
Oh, poor Pierre. Gosh.
Get well soon, Pierre.
Get well soon, Pierre.
Thank you for your company.
Hey,
okay. Thank
Juan,
you. I love it.
Will you come back again?
Obviously.
Hey, before you go, who is your driver of the day?
Driver of the day. That would be unfair to say Checo because he didn't finish in the position I want. But he proved that starting from pole position, he kept both Ferraris behind. He did a good margin. I cannot give him the driver of the day, but was in one point, it's going to be the driver of the day. And I would say Max. I would say Max because he got the opportunity and he grabbed it. And Max is like that. You don't have to leave him one little space or whatever because he's going to go for it. And I think he deserves to be the driver of the day.
Have you told? Who was your driver
No,
today?
I'd agree with that summary, actually. I know that sounds like a lazy conclusion to come to. That I'm just stealing all your points. Plagiarism is the highest form of flattery, after all. But I think Charles was brilliant. But yes, but for those yellow flags, we might be saying something different. But Max needed this win. It was a crucial one at this stage of the season for him, and it just spices everything up brilliantly heading into Melbourne.
Does indeed.
So I am off now to get on a plane and go back and see my children and get my nose right in that little crease in both their necks, which smells so good. Cannot wait.
Oh, Pinks. Pinks, look, safe travels.
Thank you. You too. And thanks for a great weekend.
It's been great. And thank you for listening, everybody at home.
F1 Nation is produced by Formula One and Audio Boom Studios.